All right, good morning, world. Welcome to some Civil War poetry. My name is Vincent Hannum. This is the show. I'm coming to you live from Minneapolis, Minnesota, 7:33 in the morning. Happy Friday. Happy closing. This is the final episode of Some Civil War Poetry, a project I started 29 mornings ago. I shouldn't say that, 29 weekday mornings ago, when it was the last day of June, and I thought, hey, why don't I do this? We were just fresh off of the George Floyd protests all around the city, especially in Minneapolis, and I just needed some vent. I needed some outlet to express um, my feelings about, you know, about the struggle for civil rights and how much Black Lives Matter and how much systemic white supremacism uh, is in our lives subtly in ways we don't even realize. So I thought, well, I love history. I have this book of poems from the Civil War era. If there was any other time aside from ours in the 50s and 60s where civil rights were literally the forefront of the national dialogue, it would be the Civil War. So I decided to launch into this project. I've gotten a lot of great feedback along the way. Some mornings have been easier than others, but it's always been worth it. Um, so so yeah, this is farewell. For now, in the coming months, I will be hopefully bringing the show back. It would look slightly different, but I also want to give these poems and this history justice by doing some deeper dives and analytical discussions. So, anyways, I would say subscribe to me and my channel, but that's really not going to get you a whole lot. Subscribe to Mischief Tales instead. That's where this will live eventually, as well as some other really more creative content. And a link to Mischief Tales' YouTube is in the description below. So, without further ado, I will read two poems, both from this book, Poetry of the Civil War. It is divided into two halves, Union and Confederate, poets from either side. And each morning I read a poem from both sides, just to do a little comparing and contrasting, see how folks of the day were feeling about this hugely traumatic event, and see if there are any dots to connect to our times here in 2020, at least poetically. So, our first poem of the day is our Union poem, of course. And wouldn't you know, it is probably if there's one poem from the era that everybody knows, it's "Oh Captain, My Captain." I have heard of this poem. If you've seen the movie The Dead Poet Society, you know of this poem. I have to admit, it was only in the course of this journey, personal journey, that I learned that the poem is about Abraham Lincoln. Might seem obvious now, but I guess not. So the poem is by Walt Whitman, of course. Uh, based on this journey, he's the greatest poet I have ever read. He just has a way to really get at the heart of the matter in a way that none of these other poets seem to have. Some of these other poets seem to get really poetical, if you know what I mean. Like, they love their wordplay and they love their rhyming schemes and illusions. But Walt's just like, nah, this guy was dying and he had some post-traumatic stress. And you're like, what? You just said that? He didn't say those words, but the 1860s version of those words. So Walt Whitman himself lived from 1819 to 1892. Was born in West Hills, New York. After leaving school, he undertook a number of occupations, including printer, carpenter, teacher, and newspaper editor. Whitman's most important work, Leaves of Grass, was first published in 1855 as a slim volume containing 12 long poems. Whitman spent much of the rest of his life revising the work, adding and occasionally removing verse. The last edition, published the year before his death, contained nearly 400 poems. In 1862, his brother George Washington Whitman was wounded in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Whitman volunteered as an army nurse and ministered to soldiers in Washington. He recorded his wartime experiences in drum taps from 1865 and memoranda during the war in 1867. Folks, honestly, please go check out the other Whitman videos in this series. Just really good stuff. So here's Oh Captain, My Captain. And remember, this is the first time I'm ever reading it, so cut me some slack here. Oh, Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every wrack. The prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But oh, heart, 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 oh, the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. O captain, my captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills. For you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores a crowding. For you they call the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Here, captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My captain does not answer. His lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm. He has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip, the victor ship comes in with object won. Exult, O shores, and ring, O bells. But I, with mournful tread, walk the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. There it is. Oh, Captain, my captain. Not only is it obviously about Abraham Lincoln, but it is about the end of the war. Our ship has come in. We have won. But alas, our leader didn't make it. That's what I'm talking about, man. Whitman, get it. Our next poet is from the Confederate side. His name is not Walt Whitman. His name is Abram Joseph Ryan. And he wrote a poem called C.S.A. C.S.A. standing for Confederate States of America, of course. And this poet, I happened to do a little research last night on him. And I discovered that Abram Joseph Ryan is considered the poet laureate of the Confederacy. So he was a big name at the time. Never heard of him now, but big name at the time. And he was a priest as well. So before, during, and after the war, he actually traveled around the country giving sermons. So let's see what Abram Joseph Ryan has to say in C.S.A. Before that, still working on these segues, his bio, additionally, is that he lived from 1839 to 1886, was born in Norfolk, Virginia, the son of Irish immigrants. He became a Roman Catholic priest and served in the war as a chaplain, there you go, in the Confederate Army. After the conflict, Ryan moved to New Orleans, where he edited The Star, a weekly Roman Catholic newspaper. He later relocated to Augusta, Georgia, where he founded a religious and political weekly, The Banner of the South. Ryan's writings were published in several volumes, the most popular being Poems, Patriotic, Religious, and Miscellaneous, in 1880. So here he is with C.S.A. Do we weep for the heroes who died for us, who living were true and tried for us, and dying sleep side by side for us, the martyr band that hallowed our land with the blood they shed in a tide for us? Ah, fearless on many a day for us, they stood in front of the fray for us, and held the foemen at bay for us, and tears should fall for error o'er all who fell while wearing the gray for us. How many a glorious name for us, how many a story of fame for us they left. Would it not be a blame for us if their memories part from our land and heart, and a wrong to them and shame for us? No, no, no. They were brave for us, and bright were the lives they gave for us. The land they struggled to save for us will not forget its warriors yet, who sleep in so many a grave for us. On many and many a plain for us, their blood poured down all in vain for us. Red, rich, and pure like a rain for us, they bleed, we weep, we live, they sleep. All lost, the only refrain for us. But their memories there shall remain for us, and their names bright names without stain for us. The glory they won shall not wane for us. In legend and lay, our heroes in gray shall forever live over again for us. Abram Joseph Ryan, setting the seeds for what we are struggling with today. Yeah, he would be like, keep those statues up. Forever will they remain to us. So I don't know. That's also interesting. Was that poem written? How long after the war was that poem written? Clearly, it was at the end of the war when they lost. But, I guess to some people they won. But, the height of I'm just talking about the lost cause romantic movement in the South. And it's poems like this that absolutely would have fed that narrative. Doesn't matter when it was written. If it was written a few decades later, it would fit nicely into that. But I have seen with some other poems that were from like 64, 65, that they were already looking back. They were already feeling, though we lost, our boys will forever be heroes, that sort of thing. So I can't blame him for his sentiments, not at all. I just wish that I don't know, the seeds he was planting weren't continually sprouting for the next 155 years. Because come on, Joseph, it's been hard. Thanks for giving us those. So, but it was a nice poem, the poem itself. So there you go. All right. Well, might as well not drag this out any longer. I'll see you on the other side. No, that doesn't sound right. But anyways, thanks for everything. Again, subscribe to Mischief Tales. Be on the lookout for more Civil War poetry to come. And until then, so long.